Shalom family. So let's touch on just the latest articles. I was going to touch on them separately, but I thought let me put them together for you again. We'll chat through them and give you my opinion as we go along. It's been a really epically busy and interesting week, the last week, with so much happening in the world. I literally cannot imagine how much longer we will still be here. Klaus Schwab, for example, has stepped down, so he's resigned, and calls for King Charles to step away from key royal duties. Now, both of them have been working together on this climate change hoax and all these things for quite a few years now as two key figures. Both of them within a week stepping away from their duties that touch on these things within days of each other. Klaus Schwab stepping down from heading the World Economic Forum's Board of Trustees, and King Charles III being urged to step back from key royal duties. Now, that is very interesting because a lot of people are keeping their eyes on Charlie Boy, and Schwab, with his big dream of everything being set up for the New World Order. A lot of people are saying now this is a sign of the failure of their plan. It is not. He's achieved what he needed to achieve. He's stepping back, which, by the way, he will only be complete doing his step back resignation by 2027. 2 more years before he's completely out. And he's grooming and prepping the next leadership that's going to step up and carry it through the tribulation. Their books look great. They're in the green. I think they're on $500 million at the moment in clean, usable cash immediately available, plus. So, no, it's not a blow to the WEF and their plans. It shows that he personally has ticked off everything that he was supposed to do, and he can now step back and go write his memoirs and watch everything come together the way they planned all along. Same with Charlie Boy and his health issues. He's achieved pretty much everything he wanted to do in the background and the shadows, and now they can watch these things come to fruition. And I'm honestly one of those people that believe that they are in contact with AC that's prepping to come onto the scene, and all those people in the shadows that are preparing to take over with the New World Order. That's just my opinion. Timing is everything, and you're not going to meet each other and 5 minutes later be working together. The shots are being called from the shadows for a while now. So that was an interesting start. Then on the food front again, with the constant recalls, there's an urgent recall for 200,000 pounds of liquid eggs due to possible bleach contamination. Now, how do you remove the egg whites and the yellows from each other? By the way, here in South Africa, we don't go buy the egg whites. We actually do that ourselves. So crack the egg, pour, get the white out from the yellow. Old school. But apparently you guys buy it ready-made in a carton. Which part of the recipe and the separation process involves adding bleach? Explain that to me. Does not make sense at all. Authorities issued an urgent recall for the eggs in the US due to the potential contamination with bleach. The recall affects 200,000 pounds of liquid egg products and has raised alarm among consumers and prompted swift action from agencies. Bleach in your eggs. Why? Because eggs are really good for you. Hence the war on chickens and eggs for a while now. And then the madness and the craziness and people being given over to their own delusions and madness because of their rejection of Christ and the truth. We see crazier and crazier stories coming out all the time. This is one example that I wanted to touch on specifically to show you how mad, cuckoos this generation has become already. Can you imagine how bad it's going to be in the actual tribulation week? Women are spending $20,000 to shrink their waists in a new disturbing trend that experts are calling rib-X-car. What? Dr. Elaine Marwood, a plastic surgeon, explained, this isn't your standard liposuction or tummy tuck. It's a structural body alteration, removing lower ribs to allow for a tighter cinch. Marwood cautioned that the risks include infection, breathing difficulties, permanent skeletal changes, and they're significant, urging potential candidates to consider long-term health over fleeting trends. They're removing multiple ribs on both sides of their body so that they can get more of an hourglass figure. Never mind that God designed these ribs to look after your internal organs and your lungs, hence the complication of breathing difficulties. And then they post before and after pictures and saying how much better they feel now that this has been done. They are already making it mainstream to alter your very physical skeleton. So when they get to the next point and make you man and machine together, you'll be good to go because you're already happy to make physical alterations to your actual skeleton. How crazy and insane is that? Your self-worth, your identity, everything's so confused that you're willing to cut bones out of your body so that you look better. It's really sad. Just get to know Christ. You'll have confidence in who you are and who He made you to be. Then the tariffs, causing chaos all over the world. After the tariffs imposed, Netanyahu and Trump will meet at the White House on Monday. So that's today. He's already in the US. According to the news site Axios, the Prime Minister will fly to Washington immediately after his visit to Budapest to discuss the economic measure taken by the US President against Israel. The two are expected to discuss the 17% tariffs that Trump has imposed on Israel. The Trump administration claimed that when factoring in issues like currency manipulation and trade barriers, the effective tariff that Israel is imposing on the US is 33%. So Israel's imposing 33% on the US. Trump's actually being nice, only imposing 17% on Israel. But of course, Netanyahu wants that to be 0, so he's going to be there discussing 0-0 across the board so they can just call it a day and nobody has tariffs on each other, which kind of makes sense for everyone. But that's happening. I personally think there's a sub-agenda to his sudden flight from Hungary to the US, which wasn't planned, for a meeting with the president at the time that his deadline with Iran is coming more or less to a close, in which he threatened to bomb their nuclear sites if they didn't come to the table. Spoiler alert, they're not coming to the table. All the bombers that have actually got bunker busting bombs, which are amazing, go read up on them, that can actually do the damage needed, because Israel can't do that alone, to those nuclear sites, are ready to go and already moved to where they need to be. So all of that's ready to go. I think he's there to have a meeting with Trump and possibly sit in on said attack, very possible, or the planning of said attack on Iran, which is about to take place, because Israel and America will go into that together. But further on the tariffs, the Dow futures tumbled 1,200 points on the fear of Trump's tariffs, sparking a trade war. S&P 500 futures dropped by 3.5%. Wall Street reacted to Trump's tariffs, wiping trillions off of 401ks in minutes. Wall Street was sent into a tailspin on Wednesday last week as financial markets reacted to the new round of tariffs imposed by Trump. A striking graph circulating amongst traders and analysts has been dubbed terrifying for the stark depiction of a rapid decline in stock values. One teacher said he looked at his 401k and within 20 minutes, $50,000 evaporated, gone. It's the kind of effects that people are seeing now. Now, why I'm mentioning these things, because I'm not your financial advisor, I'm mentioning them because the picture I'm seeing, everyone's looking at the trade wars and Trump threatening and them coming running and trying to make deals with Trump. Why is all this happening now and why is he pushing it so hard? It's causing all the markets across the world to go into a tailspin. There's a collapse in the UAE, now on Telegram, daily loss of more than $150 billion in Saudi Arabia alone. The wave of declines in the world's capital markets has not spared the Arab world. Leading the declines is the UAE, whose capital markets resumed trading after a weekend holiday. The Dubai Stock Exchange lost 5.6% of its value at the start of trading, and the Abu Dhabi market lost 4%. The Saudi stock exchange, the largest and most important in the Arab world, suffered one of its hardest days yesterday with a 6.8% drop. It's recording another 2% drop today. It should be noted that on yesterday's trading day, the Saudi stock exchange lost $153 billion in value. The Qatar stock exchange is losing 2% value today, and together with yesterday, it's returning to its values from 2017. I think from the picture that is emerging from all this chaos, if you stand back and you look at it as a whole, he is instrumental in crashing what's left of the financial system completely, wiping it out, putting the nail in the coffin so that they have to come forward and say, let's end the old, let's bring in this new. We've been testing the CBDC system and the control mechanisms in place and how it's all connected. Let's roll this out. It works perfectly across borders. It's one global option for everybody. Here it is. It's going to be safer. That would be a really good solution. And like I say, for me personally, I see this as a point in the road pushing hard towards that final crash and rebirth of the new one world money system that's coming. US bunker busting bombers positioned in the Indian Ocean as tensions mount with Iran. Israel, a staunch US ally, has repeatedly signaled its readiness to act unilaterally against the nuclear sites if necessary, in coordination with American forces. And a fictitious video has been circulated. It's on Telegram. It's on our Telegram group too, distributed by the Revolutionary Guard supporters, allegedly showing the destruction of the island of Diego Garcia by bombers. And it's ridiculous. It's really bad, the video. You can clearly see it's a joke, but they are now in that directly threatening Trump, and we know how well he responds to direct threats. And then Iran-backed militias in Iraq are ready to disarm to avert Trump's wrath. And Iran has given them permission to do what they need to do to stay out of Trump's attack focus. So that's interesting. Hamas has been destroyed in Gaza and the West Bank. Hezbollah has been hammered in Lebanon hard. The pro-Iranian militias in Iraq are disarming. Iran is withdrawing its support and personnel from Yemen because Yemen's getting pounded. The Houthis are being decimated as their rockets disintegrate halfway to Israel. Syria is attacked on a daily basis to eliminate threats. Netanyahu was received like royalty in Hungary, and Hungary announced they're leaving the International Criminal Court completely. So they won't serve anything on Netanyahu as well. And so it's just absolute chaos reigning, and everything is hyping up to a point of all-out war in the Middle East. How's Russia going to react once Iran gets pounded in her nuclear sites? Because Trump's not worrying about Russia saying don't hit Iran, because Russia embarrassed Trump by not following through with the peace deal with Ukraine. He's still bombing Ukraine. And he's still fighting and pushing and doing his own thing and threatening the UK and other Western nations. So it's a rock and a hard place. So Trump feels he's got free reign to do what he needs to do in Iran, regardless of what Russia says or threatens. So like I said, interesting times. And then Egypt, which has been yes, no, like completely bipolar with the whole Gaza thing, has now realized, thanks to its Arab neighbors telling it better wake up to what Trump's saying, and Trump's going to remove funding. Egypt may now again temporarily take in 500,000 Gazans. Al-Sisi's Sinai relocation proposal is the first step towards a broader regional solution. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi reportedly offered to temporarily absorb 500,000 Gazans, according to a Lebanese media report. The proposal, allegedly made during a regional summit in Riyadh, where the Crown Prince probably put him in his place and told him what needs to happen, comes as part of a wider discussion on the future of Gaza and the long-term consequences of Hamas' war with Israel. The temporary part of that agreement, we don't know. Is it for a few weeks, a few months, or is it for the years it's going to take for Gaza to be cleaned up and rebuilt? That remains to be seen. But again, Trump's holding the funding in his hand on the leash around their neck, so they're going to listen to what the leading is there. And then on the road to Gog and Magog, which we see clearly in the alliances all in place and ready to go, Turkish military presence in Syria is increasing and concerning Israel, as it should. Expanding Turkish military presence across the region catches the attention of Bible prophecy teachers. An Israeli security source said that the Turkish airbase in Syria, this is one they're planning to build and equip and man, would harm Israel's freedom of action. This is a potential threat that we oppose, Israel says. Turkey has significantly increased the flow of weapons and money into Syria following the collapse of the Assad regime, and it has strongly supported the new government. Obviously, because Gog-Magog alliance needs to bring troops and weapons and everything into the country and have free reign with which to attack Israel at the opportune moment, to wipe her out once and for all, not factoring in God. They want to create a version, this is beautiful, of the Large Hadron Collider, the LHC, that is 3 times larger than the one that they currently have. What could go wrong? If we just look at everything they've done with this one, the statue of Kali in front, the weird rituals they've done, the whole thing around everything that happens with that collider, and now they need to build one 3 times larger. Scientists are refining plans to build the world's biggest machine at a site beneath the Swiss-French border. More than $30 billion would be spent drilling a 91-kilometer circular tunnel in which subatomic particles would be accelerated to near light speeds, blah, blah, blah. If approved, the FCC would become the most powerful instrument ever built to study the laws of nature at the most fundamental level. They could just save the money, $30 billion, maybe put that towards weapons and preparation for World War III that is already upon them, or feed some of their people, or do some good for the world, and just read a Bible. And you could understand all these things by seeking the Lord's face. But hey, mankind, right? Some scientists, speaking of arrogance of mankind and end times thinking, are now advocating to create human bodies for spare parts. Now, obviously, this is not going to be your average Joe on the street like us. This is going to be your elites that can go and have 2 or 3 or 4 versions of themselves grown as spare parts. Oh, I have heart problems. Cut that one up. Give me a new, fresh heart. I suddenly have liver problems. Give me its liver. I now have lung problems. Cut that one up. Give me its lungs. Yeah, it sounds like a really sick dystopian sci-fi future. This is now. The Stanford researchers admit that some people may find these ideas about clones repugnant, but justify them on the basis of research already in progress. Now, I've been saying this for a long time too. They're arguing out in the open about making human clones, and everyone thinks they haven't done it. They've done this ages ago. They're just prepping your mind to accept it when you find out it's actually an old thing that has been perfected ages ago. Bodies without spirits or souls, just their meat that's being grown for various sick and twisted purposes. Recent advances in biotechnology now provide a pathway to producing living human bodies without the neural components that allow us to think, be aware, or feel pain. These researchers say that human biological materials are an essential commodity in medicine, and persistent shortages of these materials create a major bottleneck to progress. They propose using human stem cells and artificial wombs to create human clones, which they will call bodyoids. Got to call it bodyoids and not clones so that you don't get stressed out when you hear the word clone and you don't think of it as a human being. It's a bodyoid. They should just speak to the Chinese and ask about the Uyghurs and how they're cutting up real people for spare parts and extra organs and things that the UN's not crying about, that no one's freaking out about. Yes, that's also happening. Trump advisor Paula White-Cain promises supernatural blessings if you do a $1,000 donation ahead of Passover. I am looking forward to standing and watching at the judgment throne when these people stand and explain to Jesus himself how they said things like this. In a video titled Passover Season, God's Divine Appointment with You, posted March 23 on YouTube, White 58 claims that honoring God during Passover, which begins April 12th at sundown, will unlock divine and monetary rewards. She says she's not a prosperity teacher, by the way. I believe her. I believe that when you honor God on Passover, starting on April 12 at sundown through Good Friday on the 18th and concluding on Easter Sunday, you will receive these 7 supernatural blessings for you and your house, she said. Citing Exodus 23, she lists the blessings as: God will assign an angel to you. He'll be an enemy to your enemies. He'll give you prosperity. She's not a prosperity teacher, apparently. He'll take sickness away from you. He will give you long life. He'll bring increase in inheritance, and he'll give a special year of blessing. If you support her ministry with $1,000. If not, shame. These 7 promises in the Bible don't apply to the rest of you Christians. Only those with $1,000 to spare for Paula White. Realizing what you can receive for your special Passover offering of $1,000 or more as the Holy Spirit leads you. In 2016, just to go back a little bit, that this isn't a new thing, White offered her followers an Easter Sunday deliverance from a spiritual death sentence for $1,144. Resurrection seed, she called it, set by God. Thought I was already delivered by the cross of Jesus Christ and the blood of the Lamb, but apparently the addendum that I missed in my version of the Bible and the actual Hebrew and Greek scrolls is that I needed to pay Paula White first. Do you see how sick and twisted this is? This is the spiritual advisor to Trump. Perfect for end times, I gotta say. Watch the wolves. They're coming out everywhere because they feel safe. Then this one. This is just such a coincidence. Absolutely. That's what they're calling it, and they've even investigated. Multiple nurses working on the same floor of the Massachusetts hospital develop brain tumors. One particular hospital, bang, this one, on this particular floor, multiple nurses all develop brain tumors. Seriously? You don't think something's going on there? In a concerning development, 5 nurses who worked on the same floor at Mass General Brigham Newton Wellesley Hospital in Newton, Massachusetts, have been diagnosed with brain tumors. The unusual cluster of cases reported on April the 4th has prompted an investigation by the hospital and raised questions about potential workplace hazards. According to NBC News, the 5 nurses all worked on the 5th floor maternity unit at Newton Wellesley, so I'm probably butchering that name, hospital. This is 10 miles west of Boston. The hospital reported that in total, 11 employees from that unit had come forward with health concerns, 5 ultimately receiving diagnoses of brain tumors. The hospital emphasized that an internal investigation conducted in collaboration with government health and safety officials found no environmental risks that could be definitively linked to the tumor development. They just coincidentally worked on the same floor at the same time and all developed brain tumors. Got nothing to do with the hospital, the floor, or anything nefarious going on in that section. And people are going to accept this. How's that even normal? Sorry, even if you're not a conspiracy theorist. Come on. Seriously. Come on, man. Really? 5. Never mind the 11. 5 most definitely brain tumors on the same floor at the same time. But it's not the workplace environment. They probably ordered McDonald's and it wasn't an Happy Meal. It was an unhappy meal. Who knows? But they want you to believe there's nothing going on here. Yes. This world is twisted and broken and needs Jesus so desperately, and we are flying so soon because it's gone absolutely cray and mad everywhere we look. It's overwhelmingly so, which is why we don't spend all our time just focused on that. We focus on the Word of God, encouraging one another, hope, and just spreading Jesus to as many people as we can. But these things all point and show us how late the hour is and how close we are to an amazing wedding feast. No more tears, no more stress, no more nothing. Just Jesus every day. So hang in there. Your race is almost run. Shalom.